Hi folks, this is Karim Rao from IT Visualize the channel. They will continue our lab, the Red Alert lab. This is the video number 16. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been working or talking in the previous 3 videos about hardening the privilege access workstation, and we have said before that the privilege access workstation is a kind of workstation that had joined the domain, and its sole purpose is to connect to the Active Directory only, to work on it, to create users, groups, computers. So it only connects to your internal network. Okay, so it will not have access to the internet, it will not have access to your Outlook or your emails. The USB will be completely disabled on this machine. And a couple of hardening or a couple of steps to harden this workstation, so you can connect to your domain securely and you are completely away or completely secure from hacking from outside. So its only purpose is to connect to your Active Directory. There is no external connection to this machine, or if you have an external connection, for example, if you need to manage your Azure cloud workstations, there will be a rule to allow this, and it will be monitored, and your firewall will only allow access to the Azure and will block all the other means or the other websites. So this is a very good way to secure your domain, so to have your workstation that connect to the domain or the Active Directory to be secure, and this mitigates or decreases the chances for a hacker to hack or to theft or to steal your important Active Directory user accounts. If you, for example, you have your domain admin account, you will not be able to hack or to have this account. Okay, and we have also worked on tuning up the design of the Active Directory. So by dividing it to tiers, this will also make it impossible or make it very difficult for the hacker to hack your Active Directory user account. So we have done all of this to secure our Active Directory from credential theft or from hacking your Active Directory accounts. This is number 1 in our or this is the first thing we have to do to secure our environment, to help us to defend our Active Directory user accounts. This is the first thing, and then we need to do a lot of steps. One of them is to harden the Active Directory itself. So there is a lot of services in the Active Directory that are weak points for the hacker. There is a lot of policies we need to do to make our Active Directory more stronger for more stronger or more secure. One of them, for example, is to make a strong password policy and a lot of things. Okay, so there is a lot of companies, free companies on the internet that publish PDFs and guides to harden the different devices and different operating systems for a lot of companies. So for example, let me show you all what I mean by this. Here there is a website that's called NNT, or Security Through System Integrity. This is a website that will show you a couple of, or give you a couple of benchmark or reports to download. So here you have, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 companies. All of them will give you guides to harden all of your network, to harden your operating system, to harden your devices, something like switches and routers. Okay, and to have a lot of things. For example, you can harden your Macintosh, you can harden your Linux. So here, for example, one of the very famous websites or companies called CIS, Cyber Internet Security. So here you can see that we have a lot of PDFs. Okay, something, for example, for the Windows server, you can download it directly from this website, or you can only you need to go to this website or Cyber Internet Security to create an account, and then you will be able to download all of the hardening PDFs. So this is, for example, for the Windows server. You can have for the desktop okay. And for example, you can have desktop for Windows 10, for example, you can have for Linux, you can have for Apple. So there is a lot of PDFs, so that you can, this is called hardening PDFs, or they are guides to how to secure your operating system by closing some services or by opening some services. So this is one of the most important websites that provides such PDFs. And then we have our second website, which is called DISA STIG. Okay, this is another website that we will use its PDF to secure our Active Directory. This is called Security Technical Implementation Guides. Okay, so this is another website that will provide PDFs to secure your devices and environment, and we will begin working with one of these PDFs from this website. Here is the website, and this is the PDF that we will use. This is Active Directory. You can see here that is authorized by the Department of Defense of the United States, and this is from also the Defense Information System Agency. So there are two agencies that maybe have some authorization or have some or these two agencies implement this kind of security. So here we can see that there are versions. The latest version on the website is 26th of April 2019. So here we can see that these are guides to secure your Active Directory, and we'll begin working with these security steps one by one, and we will begin working with it in this lab, where we will begin in this video to discuss all of this PDF. Okay, so if you need to secure your environment, you can go to the website that I show you all. This is called NT, and you can download any PDF from any one of these famous websites to secure your environment. But we will work with the STIG through the whole lab. We will work first to secure our Active Directory, and then we will work to secure our Windows Server 2019 data center core, and then we will work to secure our Windows 10 workstations, and then we can also work on securing our Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Office, a lot of things actually, and this website contains a lot. Okay, so you can see here, for example, that there is a lot of things here you can choose from. For example, if we go back and choose operating systems, maybe, or we can go further. Here, if you go to the document library, this is the PDFs that you can use or you can browse. So just a moment, I will show you all these PDFs here. If you go here, we can see that, if you wait for a second, just a moment guys, so we'll go further, stop. Here we have a lot of things. We have cloud security, we have application security, we have group policy objects, you have hosted based system, you have mobility, you have operating system. So these are all PDFs covering a lot of aspects. It covers the devices, cover the switches, cover the routers, cover the operating system. So in this video we will work on securing our Active Directory. So as I showed you before, here are the two websites, and one of the best actually websites for providing such information, it is the Cyber Internet Security. It also had a lot of good PDFs that gives you a lot of info on how to secure your environment. So without further hesitation, let's begin and see how we can secure our environment. So let's begin and see. Here is the PDF itself. We have opened our domain controller and our PAO workstation, so we can connect to our domain controller and begin applying this PDF. So let's see here. The first thing we can see here, that this is the number, or it is classified, or this PDF works in this the PDF it works, or it's classifying information according to a certain criteria. First of all, it gives you the number, so it have a number, and then the title of the security it's talking about. So for example, it's talking about enterprise admins groups in the Active Directory members. So we all know that we have an enterprise group in Active Directory created by default called enterprise admins, and this group, the members of it can have full control over different domains in the forest. So this is different than domain admins. So the domain admin can only control one domain, okay, but enterprise admins can control all of the domains in the forest. So the first thing that this PDF tells us, membership to enterprise admin group must be restricted to accounts used to manage the Active Directory forest, okay. And here it gives you the vulnerability discussion. It here discuss why you need to do this, because it's a highly privileged group. Personnel who in the system administrator must log to the Active Directory using only accounts level authority necessity. So here in short he is saying that you need to have your members, or to be very careful when you are putting members to this group. And by the way, if your Active Directory users are member of this group, they should not be a member of any other group, okay. So for example, let's see here, he's saying to us that including the account, here he say if the account is listed in the enterprise admin is a member of other administrators group, including the domain admins, domain member servers, this is another group that will allow its members, or the Active Directory group that allow its members to be local administrators on the domain controller. So this is another thing. And then we have domain workstations administrators. These are the local administrators on the machines in your domain, for example Windows 10. So he's saying here that this is the rule, and then the IT auditor, or you can check it by yourself, if you see that the enterprise admin or the user in the enterprise admin group is a member of the domain admins, domain member servers, domain workstations, this is a finding. So this is not correct. You need to have the user that is a member of the enterprise admin should be only a member in this group and not member in any other group. So for example, if you need to have a user to be an enterprise admin, and you need the same user to have to be a user in the domain admins, or to be a domain admin and the domain member server and the domain workstation administrator, so you need to create 4 accounts. So for example, for user X, he will be a member in the enterprise admin, and then you will create user Y, okay, for the user to be domain admin in the member, or member in the domain admins, and then a member Z to be, or user X Z to be a member in the domain member servers or domain workstation. So here he is classifying, or he's saying that you should have your user only to be a member of the enterprise admin, and he should not be a member in any group. So if the hacker, for example, hack, let's say that your user is a member of the enterprise admin and a member of the domain admin, so if the user is hacked, he can control 2 things. He can control your forest and control your domain, okay. So here he is specifying to separate your user rights. So there is a user to manage the enterprise admin, but he cannot manage the he can be enterprise admin, but the domain admin could not be an enterprise admin. So if a user is a member of the domain admins, he should not be a member in the enterprise admin, okay. This is one thing. So this is the first recommendation for this PDF. So you need to have your enterprise admins users to be only a member of this group and should not be a member in any other group. So this is one of the things, because as I said before here, it will separation of administrator responsibility, this is the one I'm talking about, helps mitigate the risk of privilege escalation resulting from credential theft attacks. So here he's saying that if this user is a member of many groups, this will make a risk, okay, that the hacker can work on a large scale. So he will not only be, if the user is a member of the domain admins and the enterprise admin, so he can control both the forest and the domain, okay. And for example, if he is a member of the domain member servers administrator, he can also control the servers. Or if he is a member of the workstations administrator, he can also control all of the workstations in the domain. So you should separate every user to be only in certain group, okay. So this is one of the things, and then we can pass this real quickly. Let's continue. So here he's saying to us that create the necessary documentation that identify membership of the group admins, ensure that each member has a separate unique account that can be used to manage the Active Directory forest, remove any enterprise admin accounts from other administrators groups. So this is the situation. If you find a user to be a member of multiple groups, or a user in the enterprise group to be a member of other groups, you should immediately remove this user from the other groups. Okay, so he's giving you the vulnerability, how the vulnerability and why it is a vulnerability, and how to fix this vulnerability. Okay, so this is a very good documentation. So this is the first thing you need to take care. If we go further, now we can go to the second thing, which is domain admins group. This is the domain admin group in the Active Directory. He is also restricting the domain admins groups must be restricted to account used only to manage the Active Directory domain and domain controller. So he is saying also that a user who is a member of the domain admins group in the Active Directory should not be a member in any other group. So this is the same that applies to enterprise admins. So let's go a little bit down and see. Here he is saying if your account is listed in the domain admins group is a member of other administrators groups, including enterprise admin groups, domain members group, domain workstation, this is a finding, or this is not correct. So the user in the domain admins group should not be a member in the enterprise admin groups, or the domain member server administrators, or the local administrators on the workstations. So this is we call separate of duties. The enterprise admin is separated from the domain admins, is separated from the domain members, is separated from the domain workstations or the local administrators of the workstations in the domain. So everyone is separated from each other. So if the hacker can hack one of them, he will not be able to hack the others. Okay, so this is also something, and you need also to document. You need to have a documentation, a written documentation or an electronic documentation with the members of each group. So the important groups in the Active Directory should be documented, or I prefer that every group in your Active Directory you should have a documentation of its members, and I will show you later how we can do this in an automatic way through the Excel. Anyway, so this is the second thing discussing it. We need to have the members of the domain admins group not to be members in any other group. So you need to check your Active Directory and see. And now we go to the domain member server administrators. Okay, what is the domain member administrators? Let's check the internet and see. Just a moment. I think it's yes, I think there is a way. Just a moment. So here we will say, we will close this one. Domain member servers so if you can wait and see what is the domain member servers, what is this group, just wait for a moment. A member server belongs to a domain, but it is not the domain controller. Its function, let me show you. I think I have something here to discuss this in more details, so we can go there and get our, just a moment. So what is the domain member servers? Domain member servers, domain member servers. Okay, member servers group. Okay, Active Directory security groups. Yeah, this is it. So we can go further and see what is the domain member. Let's go to the Active Directory groups. Here we can go that default security group. So we go to the domain. Let's see here. Domain controllers. No, there is domain members. Okay. So these domain members is called here domain member server, okay, or domain, let's see here for the D, domain controllers. Okay, anyway, I think the domain members here, let's see here what is saying here. They say personnel who are system administrators must log into domain systems only using accounts with the minimum level of authority. Only system administrator accounts used exclusively to manage domain members member servers, okay. Be members of an administrator group for the domain member servers. A separation of administrator use might, so here he's telling you that the local administrator of the domain should also be separated from the enterprise admins and from the domain admins. So a member of this group, which is called domain member server administrators, if you are a member of this group, you will be able to manage or to be a local administrator on the domain controller. So also here is stating that this user, or again he is stating here that this group or the user who is a member of this group should not be a member of any other group. This applied to the enterprise admins and applied to the domain admins. So here we can see that this is the description, okay. Here we can see also the same. Here is saying here that the domain member server administrators group, the user should not be listed in any other ones like the enterprise admins, the domain admins, the domain workstation administrators. So this applied for the enterprise admins and the domain admins, okay. So we need to separate every user who is a member of one of these groups. The enterprise admin is separated from the domain admin, separated from the domain member servers, separated from the local workstations administrators. So all of these are some recommendation from this PDF. So let's go further and see what is it here. The domain workstation administrator group. So here also he's saying that the local administrator on your workstations in the domain should not be a member in any other group. So for example, I have a user that I will make it a local administrator on all of the workstations in my domain. This user should not be a member of, for example, the domain admins, the enterprise admins, the domain member servers. This we have done already in the couple of videos. We have separated for every IT to have two accounts, one to manage the Active Directory, to be a domain admin, and one to manage the workstations locally, and this will be local administrators, okay. So I have done this before. If we remember this PDF or this, let me show you all this structure. Here we have, for example, for the Russian army, we have for the local or for the workstations there is a group for it in the Active Directory, and for the managing the Active Directory there is another group, and for the POW we have another group or a third group, and for the local administrators for the POW we have a fourth group. So we have two groups separating the domain admins. This is for the domain admin, and this is for the local administrators or domain workstations admins. So we have two groups. We have done this before, and we have separated this users. So this is we have done it before for managing your domain workstations. It is very easy. It gives you the description of the vulnerability and how it can be rectified or to be fixed. Now we have delegation, another thing called delegation of privilege accounts. So just wait for a moment. First we need to go down. So privilege accounts such as those belonging to any administrator group must not be trusted for delegation. So for example, if you have an account that is a domain admin, okay, or an enterprise admin or whatsoever, you cannot delegate it to another account. We will see how we can know if an account is delegated to other users. So for example, if I am a domain admin, I need to delegate my account, my domain admin account, to a user. This is not authorized, or this is a finding, or you need not to do this. How we can know that our account is delegated? We will check the Active Directory in a certain tab called account, and we will see if account is sensitive and cannot be delegated. If this checkbox or this option is checked, then our account is delegated. So we will go and check our Active Directory and see if our domain admins or our IT personnel in the main office and the branches like the Russian branch and the American branch and the Japanese branch, we will see if we have our accounts delegated. So we can see here that privileged accounts, those belonging to administrators group, must not be trusted for delegation. So we need to check all of our administrators group or all of our users in administrators group. So we'll check the enterprise admin group, the domain admin group, the domain member servers group, and the local administrators group. We can check this. We will check the accounts and see if we have this option checked. So I'll, for example, see my domain admin account and see if I have this checked. So as we see that all of these are recommendations, okay, and this is to tighten or to secure or to harden your Active Directory. So we can go to the Active Directory, just a moment. So we can go here, for example, to one of the accounts here. For example, in the Ally Army, if I check one of the accounts, this is a local administrator account. If you go to account, so we need to go to the account tab. This is this user, IT Workstation admin 1. He is a local administrator user on the workstations in the Ally branch. So if you go to account, okay, and check account is sensitive, if you can go a little bit further, account is sensitive and cannot be delegated. So we need to check this account. So unchecking it means that this is a vulnerability. So we need to check this one. So we need to check and tell him account is sensitive and cannot be delegated. Okay, so we will check this. So we need to do this for all of the users in the administrators groups. So we need to do this. Okay, so we need to do this. Okay, but I think if we do this, this will not make us able to delegate some rights from my domain admin to the IT in the branches. But anyway, we need to check this. You need to test it and see if you can delegate rights to OUs, the one that we have done before. So for example, here I have delegated some of my domain admin rights. If you remember, we have done this in previous video. I have delegated the IT group in the Russian army to be able to create users groups in their OU, and the same for the Ally army and the same for the Japanese. So will checking this account or checking this option make me not unable to delegate rights to the IT in the branches? You can check this and test it. Okay, anyway, we will go and check. Here is the accounts, and you will check this option for every IT. So we will go and check the account. So here we will go and tell him account is sensitive and cannot be delegated. Anyway, so apply and OK, and then we will do this for every administrator account. I think this will be done for the local administrators, for the enterprise admins, the domain admins. Anyway, the documentation is not clear about what kind of administrators should we check this option to. Okay, but anyway, this is the option that we need to check. But make sure to test it, as I said before, to see if the domain admin account could be delegated to other users in other branches. Okay, and here we can see that there is something called unique passwords for all local administrators accounts. We all know that every workstation in your domain will have, when you install Windows or any operating system, especially Windows 10, when you install it on any machine, it will create a default account called administrator. This account is disabled, okay, and should be renamed from administrator to any other thing. This account, you should have a unique password for it, and you should change this password regularly. Okay, this could be done using a solution for Microsoft called Microsoft Labs or Microsoft Local Administrator Password Solution. This is an automatic, or it is a system that will control or will change the password of the local administrator's accounts on your domain systems. He mean here by domain system, he means the workstations systems like Windows 10 or whatsoever. The labs will change this password automatically, and this is the recommendation. I have a video talking about this solution or Microsoft Labs and how you can implement it. I will leave it in the description. So here he is recommending you to use Microsoft Local Administrator Password Solution. Provides an automated solution for maintaining and regularly changing local administrator passwords for joined or domain joined systems. So the administrator account on all of your workstations in the domain should be disabled and should be renamed, and you should use the Microsoft Local Administrator Password Solution to change the password of these accounts on all of your workstations, and should be done regularly and automatically. This will be done, and the password will be a very complex password, and every administrator account on every machine will have a different password than the other one. So not all of the administrators accounts on all of the machines will have the same password. No, everyone will have a different password. Okay, so this is a very secure thing, because the hacker, if he knows the local administrator account of your machine, he can get the machine out of the domain, for example. Okay, so I have already discussed this solution in a previous lab. I will show you the link or give you the link of this lab or this video. And here he gives you some tips on how you can know that the labs has been installed and enabled. The following PowerShell query will retain a list of the systems that do not have a local administrator password managed by labs. So this script or this PowerShell script will show or will identify if you are working with Microsoft Local Administrator Password Solution. This will see. So if I am an IT auditor, if I run this script, I will know if you have your Microsoft Local Administrator Password Solution working in place. Okay, if it return saying some results that it is not working, so then this is a finding. So you need to apply the Microsoft Local Administrator Password Solution. Let me show you all something here, guys. I will show you all the let me show you the link for the Microsoft Labs that I am using. Just wait for a moment. I need to show you all the here we go. We can go there, and this is one of the good websites I used for deploying operating system or Windows operating system. Let me show you my here. If you go to the playlist, okay, and let me show you all the, so here I have my let me show you all the labs video, so we can go further. If we can go there, we can go further, and this is the Transformers lab, so we can go there, the English one. Okay, and then we can stop. Just a moment. So no, I need to stop here. Just a moment, guys. So here we will go and we will pause the video. Okay, and then if we go there, let me show you all the link. So we can go and get, yes, this is Microsoft Labs, so Microsoft Local Administrator Solution. If you click on it, and then this is the link. You can see here how you can apply the Microsoft Labs, Microsoft Local Password Solution. Okay, so let's continue working with this great PDF. So let's continue. Labs here says that it requires PowerShell. This command requires PowerShell 2 or a NetFrame 4. Okay, so this is a very good PDF. It gives you a very good or a detailed steps how to find the weak point or the vulnerability and how to fix the vulnerability, okay, and how to check the vulnerability. If you need to check if you have this vulnerability, you can give you PowerShell commands to check it, okay, and we will see later there is a lot of useful commands we can use. Here he's saying that using separate smart cards for use for enterprise admins and domain admins. So here we know all the smart card solution. This is a way to secure your accessing to your workstation or workstation or your domain, accessing your domain. Smart card, something like I think a fingerprint or something like this. So he says to you that the smart cards should be used for enterprise admin members and domain admin members, okay, and should not be used by any other members of any other groups. So you should have smart card used for enterprise admins and domain admin accounts, okay, and separate these. So the smart cards for the enterprise admins should not be used by the smart cards of the domain admins, okay. So every one of them should have his smart cards. The domain admins could not use the smart cards of enterprise admins, and the enterprise admins should not use the smart cards of the domain admins. So he is also saying this is a way to secure accessing your workstations, okay. So you can also Google or see what is smart card. This is a way to secure. This is something like a key or something is given to you to access your machine. This is I think it is added to the password, so I think we can complete, or this is in addition to your password, okay. So now this is one, and then we have another thing: separate domain accounts from being used to manage public facing servers from any domain accounts used to manage internal servers. So he is saying if you have, for example, a web server, and this web server is facing the internet, you should manage this web server, okay, using a separate account from managing your, for example, domain controller. So if you have a web server, you should have a user or a separate user to manage this web server locally, or to manage it through the network, and to have another account to manage the other servers, or to manage the other servers internally. So if you have servers facing the internet or public, or facing the public internet, and you have servers facing your internal network, you should have two separate accounts each to manage separate thing. Or for example, you need to have accounts to manage your facing public servers. You have account to manage your facing public servers account, and to have an account to manage your internal servers, okay. So you should have two accounts, one to manage servers facing the internet, and one to manage servers that are internally in your network. So this is also one of the recommendations, but we don't have this working in our lab. So this is also one of the recommendations. We can see here that is very strict and forward recommendations. He's saying to you that you should use separate accounts to manage your facing internet servers, because if the hacker or use one account to manage internal and external servers, this could compromise, okay, your security, or the hacker can hack your external servers and your internal servers. So he's saying to you here, review your local administrators group on public facing servers. Only the appropriate administrator group or accounts responsible for the administration of system may be members of this group. So he is telling you that you should have separate accounts. And he is saying here that domain admin group must be replaced by domain members server administrator groups. Those members are different from any used to manage internal server. Domain member server, I think, just a moment guys, domain member server, this is, okay, I have mistaken. Domain member server, a member of this group could manage any server that has joined the domain, not the domain controllers, okay. So if you have, for example, application server, you have any other servers, if a user is member of this group, he will be a local administrator on the servers joining the domain. So this is the domain member server, okay. So anyway, we'll continue. Okay, so this is one. So here is saying the finding, and then you can work and do it. Then there is another recommendation saying that Windows Service application account with administrator privileges, you should manually change their password, okay, every 60 days. What is the Windows Active Directory Service account, or what is the Active Directory Service account, or what is the Active Directory application account? These are accounts created in the Active Directory to manage certain applications or to run certain Windows services in your domain. So for example, you can have an account in the Active Directory that is responsible for managing your firewall or to start the services to manage your firewall, or you can have an account, your Active Directory, to manage or to start your SQL server, for example. So these are Active Directory user accounts that are only responsible for running applications or running Windows services. They are not allowed, for example, to log into the Active Directory or to log into a workstation. So they are only, or their own purpose or sole purpose is only to run services or to run applications. So for example, if I've created an account X, this could run a service or an application, but I cannot use it to log into any machine in the network. Okay, I cannot log in with user X on any machine in the network. It is not authorized, or it is not, you will disable that this user can access any workstation in the domain. It will be only its own purpose is only to run services or applications. And this kind of accounts, you should check the option of password never expire. Why? Because if the account is disabled, or if your expiry date has run out, the account will be disabled, and these accounts are running important application and services. So if the account is disabled, your services or application will not be running. So you need to make sure that the option of password never expire to be checked for this kind of accounts, and to change these passwords manually, to reset these passwords for these accounts manually every 60 days. So this is one of the recommendations. Okay, so you need to create, and I will show you all in the upcoming videos how we can work with this kind of accounts. So this is also one of the recommendations. So you can see here these are a lot of things to work with, and how we can use it. Okay, so these are Windows Service and application accounts. I think we can go further and check the latest. We can go there. Okay, and here is another thing. Here is the domain controllers must be blocked from accessing the internet. So this is also best practice. You should have your domain controllers not accessing the internet. This can be done putting a proxy 127.0.0.1, or you can block it using your firewall or using your web filter, something like the FortiGate or Sophos. But here in our scenario we have two domain controllers. One of them is our primary domain controller, and we don't have any other role installed on it, and we have the second or the additional domain controller. We have on it the WSOS, and this WSOS role should have access to the internet to download Microsoft updates. So what we will do, we will block access of internet to our primary domain controller, and we will leave access to the internet for our additional domain controller. In a best practice solution, or in an ideal situation, your WSOS should not be installed on a domain controller. Okay, so if you have a situation, you will have your primary domain controller on a server, your additional domain controller on a server, and the WSOS will be on a separate server. So you should have 3 servers. Our 2 domain controllers will block internet on them, and we will allow WSOS to have access to the internet. Another trick here, the domain controller should access the internet to sync the time. Okay, so this, our domain controller is our time server. All of the domain or all of our workstations or servers in the domain will sync their time or their clock with the clock of the domain controller. and the clock of the domain controller is synced with an external clock on the internet, for example a website or something, or the website of Microsoft. So we need to tweak it. We need to tell the domain controllers, if we block internet access on the domain controllers, we need to find an alternative way so the domain controller can sync his clock with an external clock on the internet. So we will tell the domain controller to go to the WSOS, which have access to the internet, and sync his clock through it. I will show you all the way, but anyway I will do this in the videos upcoming. But take care, we need to block access on our internet access on our domain controllers, but we can leave it on the WSOS server, we can leave it on our application server, something like the antivirus application. Also the antivirus application should get updates from the internet, so we can have some exceptions to a couple of servers, okay? But the domain controllers or any other server that doesn't need access to internet, you should block internet on it, okay? So now we will do this. This will aid you from protecting from hacking, for example, okay? Anyway, so we will continue. Then should be done through firewalls, okay? And anything you do, you should document it as electronically or to print it, okay? Must be documented and approved by the organization. So we can go to this kind of documentation. So here I will show you all how we can, for example, if I need to block or to prevent the domain controller or the primary domain controller from accessing the internet, I just simply can go and remove the default gateway. So if the server doesn't find the gateway, he will not be able to access the internet, okay? So this is one simple way to block internet on a server. You can do this through a firewall, you can do this through putting a proxy. One simple way is to remove the default gateway from the network connection setting of the server. So we will open the Windows Admin Center, okay, and just a moment here again. We will open the Windows Admin Center and connect to our server and remove the default gateway. Here we can see that another thing called all account privileged and unprivileged that require smart card must have the underlying NT hash rotated at least every 60 days. I think this is also something relating to the smart card. Actually don't use this kind of solution, but he's saying that the accounts that use the smart card, you should rotate, I think, network hash. This is something related to encrypting your password. The encryption of the password should be changed every 60 days. I think this is it. You can see the description to know further, but anyway I don't use this kind of solution in the lab, so I will not focus on it. So we can go down and continue. So here I think I will pass this. So we'll go further and continue working. Okay, this rule, this is another one. User accounts with domain level administrative privilege must be members of the protected users groups in domains with a domain functional level of Windows 2012 R2 or higher. This is a group in the Active Directory. You should put members of or you should put in it users that have domain level administrative privileges, something like the domain admins or the enterprise admins. They should be a member of the protected users group. Why we should do this? Because the protected users group will provide another level of security. It will, I think it will encrypt your password or do something. Let me show you all what is the protected users group. So I think we can go and open one thing here. Let's go to the history, and then we have opened our I think history here. Just wait for a moment. Let me show you all what is the protected users group. So here I think we can go to the security groups and see what is the protected users, why we need to put ourselves in the protected users group. Here we can see that IP protected users. Let's see this one. So members of protected users are afforded additional protection against the compromise of the credential, okay, during authentication process. The security group is designed as a part of the strategy to effectively protect and manage credentials within enterprise. So it provides a level of security to your password. So if you are a member of this group, your password will have more protection. We can see that have non-configurable protection applied to their accounts. Members in this group is meant to be restrictive and proactively secure, okay. The only method to modify the protection is to remove the account from secure. Anyway, I think it's depending on the domain level. Let me show you all. Members of this cannot authenticate using the following security providers: NTLM. So the Kerberos will not use the weaker. So anyway, from what I understand here, that if you are a member of this group, you will have a strong password protection and encryption as well. But take care that he is telling you that you should have at least 1 or 2 or 3 accounts that are not a member of this group, because if there is a problem with the Kerberos, this is something I don't this is one of the protocols to authenticate your user to the domain. If there is a problem with it, all of your protected users group members will not be able to access the domain. So you need to have 2 or 3 users that are not a member of this group. So let me show you all what is also discussed in this PDF. So he's saying to you that you need to put your critical domain level administrative privileges users to be member of the protected users group. But you should, okay, as discussed here, to leave 1 or 2 users out of this group, okay. So if there is a problem with the Kerberos, okay, protocol, you will not be able to access the domain. Here we will have our domain controller. So you will open it, our primary domain controller, and go and remove the default gateway, so we can block access internet on the server. Now we can go to the group that is called protected users, okay. Here we can see that there is no member in this group, okay. So here we will put our domain admins and enterprise admins and local administrators in this group, okay. So we'll have a strong password protection and encryption, okay. So here I think I will not add the groups, okay. We will not add the group as a whole. I will add the users one by one, or I will add my global IT group. A global IT group, this is the main branch IT, and I will add the IT of the other branches. So you need to add your domain admins and enterprise admins and local administrators to this group, okay. So this is my global IT group, or the main branch IT, and I will add the other IT in the other branches. We have 2 groups, one to have the main branch IT and the other to have the other IT in the other branches. So I think it is IT all. This is IT all. This contains the other IT in the other branches, the American branch, the Russian branch, and the Japanese branch. So we will go to the protected users, okay. We'll go further again and add to the protected users. So again, take care, you need to have not all of your IT to be a member of this group. You need to exclude 2 or 3 accounts to be out of this group, okay. Why? Because if there is a problem with the Kerberos, one of the authenticated or authentication protocols in the domain, all of your members in this group will not be able to access the domain. So you need to have 2 or 3 accounts out of this group, so you can access the domain and manage it, okay. Anyway, so we go to the domain controller, primary domain controller, and open our network setting and remove the gateway. So this is, if you can see, and it requires something. It requires that your domain function level should be at least Windows 2012 R2. So you have to have all your servers to be at least running Windows 2012 R2. Your servers and your domain controller, of course, okay. And how to know if your domain level or to know that what I mean by domain level here, or domain functional level, it means that you should have all of your domain controllers and all of your servers in the domain to be Windows 2012 R2. So this is what we mean by domain functional level, okay? At least in the domain. So there is something called domain functional level and something called forest functional level, okay? Domain functional level, you need to have all of the servers in your domain to have an operating system to be Windows 2012 R2. So how we can check this? We can check this by a script or by a PowerShell command. So we'll do this. So it will give you the command. This is very good PDF. It gives you a command how to check this, and here is saying to you, compare member of the protected users group to members of the following groups. By default, the groups are under the node referenced. However, it is possible to move those users under users to another allocation. Anyway, so he's telling you that enterprise admins, domain admins, schema admins, administrators, all of these should be members of the protected users group. But take care, you need to exclude from every group one user at least to be out of the protected users group, okay? So here he will say, let me show you all what we mean by this anyway. So we will go further down. So here it is not recommended, it is recommended that one account can be excluded, okay, to ensure availability if there are risks or there are issues with Kerberos. So Kerberos, it is responsible for securing or authenticating your accounts in the protected users groups and give it another additional layer of security. So if there is a problem with this protocol, your users in this group will not be able to access the domain. So you should exclude one account at least to be out of this group. Okay, so he's saying excluding the account left out for availability if all users from the local domain that are members of the domain level. So let me get a little bit down. If you can go here, get like this. So here we have gone to the return back to our primary domain controller network setting, and then change or remove the default gateway. So this is a way that you can block access of internet on the domain controller, okay? And by the way, we have said that the antivirus and the updates will be got from the WSOS anyway. So we have, so here I will remove all of the groups again, and I will add certain users and exclude certain users. So I will not put all of my IT in the protected users group. I will put some and exclude some, okay? So according to the recommendation of the PDF. So here I will add Elon Musk, for example. Here I will add a couple of users. Let me pass it this real quickly. So let's, here what I have done, just wait for a moment. So here I am adding, what can see here, I add a couple of users. So here you will add not all of your enterprise admins, not all of your domain admins, not all of your schema admins. You will add some of them to the protected users group, okay? So this will be done. So as we can here, we can go to the this couple of users to be added, okay, and then let me go back and show you all what I have done. Here we can see that I have added not all of my IT, so I add from every branch 2 IT accounts to the protected users group, okay? So for example, I add Tony Stark from the main branch, Cable McDonald from the ally branch, Gerald Collin from the ally branch, Elon Musk from the main branch, RT Aziwawa from the Japanese branch, and this also from Japanese branch, and the last two are from the Russian branch, and I have left a couple of users out of this group, okay? Also, for example, my Karim Raouf account, it is not in the protected users group, okay? So now we have done exactly what the PDF told us. Now we can go and continue working with the other recommendations. So here he will tell you to add user accounts from the local domain that are members of the domain level administrator group listed below to the protected user group. So he is telling you that domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins, administrators, account operators, backup operators, all of these should be a member, most of them to be a member of the protected users group. Anyway, it should be thoroughly tested before fully implemented. So this is one of the recommendations. Okay, so now we can see that it is urging us to test it thoroughly. So here, domain joint systems excluding domain control must not be configured for unconstrained delegation. Unconstrained delegation enabled on a computer can allow the computer account to be impersonated without limitation. If delegation is required, it must be limited, constrained to specific services and accounts. Okay, anyway, this is related to security also. I don't know actually what this could mean, but if you need to know that you have some accounts or some computer accounts in your domain that have unrestricted delegation or unconstrained delegation, you should run a certain command. I will run it now on my domain controller and see the result. If there is a result or there is a finding or there is something listed, this should be rectified. Let me show you all when I run this command. If there is no result, return it back. So that means that I am successfully, or I don't have unconstrained delegation in my domain. But if there is a result, return it back. This means that I have a finding. Or there is, if any computers are returned from this command, then this is a finding. Okay, so let's see when I run this command what will happen. So I think we can go here and run this command. So we'll copy it, okay, and what we will do here, we need to just a moment. So here I am on the primary domain controller through the Windows Admin Center. I will open the PowerShell and run the command. So just wait for a moment, let me show you all something here. Wait for a moment. Again. So here, just wait guys, what happens here? I here open the PowerShell and then run this command, and then there is no result. So there is no result, return it back. So that means that I don't have unconstrained delegation computer accounts. So this is one way to check. Okay, and then let's see the upcoming recommendation. Okay, so here we have run the command using the Windows Admin Center through a remote PowerShell session. Okay, so here I have run the command. If you find a computer, you need to go to the properties of this computer in the Active Directory, Delegation tab, and then deselect Trust this computer for delegation. Okay, so this is one of the way to rectify the problem. I will leave the whole PDF, by the way, in a link in the description. Okay, link in the description section in the video. So here is tell you how to rectify this problem. Here there is another recommendation saying that the directory service restore mode password must be changed. When you are installing the Active Directory, it asks you to set a password, okay, so you can use it when your Active Directory is down. So there is a username and a password. They are called directory service restore mode password. This username or this password is used to recover the Active Directory or to fix the Active Directory. This password, we have all done it in the lab, but it's only or most of us doesn't change this password on a regular basis, so it should be changed annually. So take care, this could be a task to be done annually, and I will show you all how we can do something like this. So you will open the command prompt on the domain controller or on the two domain controllers and run certain commands to set the password for the directory service restore mode. Okay, I will show you all how this can be done, but this is one of the security issues you need to take care. So let me show you all how this will be done. If we go further, let me show you all. So this is a PDF that I have used in my previous lab, the transformers. This is one of the PDFs that you can also use to secure your Active Directory in addition to the one that I am using now. Anyway, in a section in this one, let me show you all here. This is how you can reset the DSRM or directory service restore mode password. So you go to the command prompt on the domain controller and type ntdsutil and press enter, and then set DSRM password, and then it will ask you to reset password on server, and then you put the server name. So you will type ntdsul, or you type this command, and then you type this command, and then type this command, and the DC, this is, you can replace this with the name of the domain controller or the name of the domain controller server, and then put the password and confirm it, and then successfully change it, and then quit to get out of this utility. This will be done on both domain controllers. So let's see how this will be done. So we can go, let me show you all. If we go to the primary domain controller, we will open it, or let me show you how this will be done. So we have opened the primary domain controller, and then we will type the command, or let's type the command and see. Okay, so here we'll type, this is how you can change the the DSRM or directory service restore mode. So here we will go sorry, we will go and put this command and press enter, and then we'll begin. We will type reset set DSRM password, copy, and then put it here. Okay, and then press enter, and then you need to type the command reset DSRM password, and then type the server that you need this account, or the account that this or the account this, or sorry, the server this account is on. Okay, so here we'll type, I have typed my reset password on my server. This is my server name, domain controller. So I'll type it and then press enter. Then I need to put the password and confirm it. We need to do this on the primary domain controller and the additional domain controller. Okay, so we have to do it on both. Okay, so this is also one of the best practices to do. So now we have it, and then we will type quit and quit. So now this is the last thing to do, to type quit and quit to get out of this utility. So this is a utility specially used to reset the password of the directory service restore mode of the Active Directory, and tell him quit, and now we have finished. So we have done this successfully. Let's see what is the next step. So now I think we will just wait for a moment. So we have already changed the password. Okay, I think we need to cover this real quickly. So what is this one? Let's wait for a moment. Okay, no, this is, we don't need all of this. Okay, so we'll go and do something else again. So let's wait and see. So now we'll go further again. Okay, we'll go further again, up. Sorry, just wait for a moment. Again. Okay, just wait for a moment. So we go further. Okay, here you go. The domain, okay, he's saying you that the domain functional level should be at least supported by Microsoft. So for example, if you have your domain functional level 2008, Windows Server 2008, Windows Server 2008 is not recommended anymore by Microsoft, or its life cycle is ended. So you should have your functional level one of the products of Microsoft that are still in use, or its life cycle is not ended. So we have Windows Server 2003, it is ended, so you can't have your domain functional level to be 2003, and you should not have your domain function level to be 2008 because this is also ended. You should have it to be 2012 or higher. Okay, so you can know the domain function level using a PowerShell command. We have discussed this before, or you can see this domain function level from Active Directory domains and trusts. So this can be done using two ways, a PowerShell way, or from the Active Directory console. Okay, Active Directory domains and trusts console. So is not Windows Server, this is a finding. the highest functional level supported by domain controller is recommended. So 2008 is already ended, okay? So you should not have your domain functional level or forest functional level to be Windows Server 2008. So this is one of the things you should take care. And then access to need to know information must be restricted to an authorized community of interest. Here it is saying that you should users should access information as needed. Don't give the user more rights to access unneeded information. So he should access only the information that he needs. Access need to know information must be restricted to an authorized community of interest. So for example, if you have some information related to the accounting, you should not make the HR be able to access it, and HR information should not be able or to be accessed by the accounting. Okay, so and this also applies to if you have trust, or you have external, or you have domain trust, or you have forest trust between if you have two domains and two forests or two Active Directory forests, and you have trust between them, you should make sure that the trusted part or the other users in the trusted forest should have only access to what they need. Okay, so this is also one of the things, because trust relationship effectively eliminate a level of authentication in a trusting domain or forest. They represent less strict access control on the domain or forest level with the resource reside. To mitigate the risk, trust relationships must be documented. So here is talking about the trust between the forests. So you need to be very careful when you are making trust between a forest and a forest, and to make sure who can access what from each trusted forest. Okay, so this is one of the things. So and you need to document, okay, this kind of trust, and you need to delete unneeded trust relationship. Okay, and then these are things I think not related to us anyway, so we will. This is also related to security identifiers. This also I don't use anyway. This also related to external trust or forest trust. I don't have this in my domain, so we will continue. Also this is related to the trust. We don't have trust in our domain, so we can read this or we can pass this quickly. And here this is one of the things here. Anonymous login and everyone groups must not be members of the pre-Windows 2000 compatible access group. Okay, this is a group in the Active Directory, was created to allow Windows NT, this is older version of Windows Server, to access domains to interpret with AD domains by allowing unauthenticated access to certain Active Directory data. The default permission on many AD objects are set to allow access to the pre-Windows compatible access group. So this is a group specially created for older Windows Server versions. The members of this group could access certain data in the Active Directory without authentication. Okay, so you should make sure that this group doesn't contain any users, okay, or doesn't contain anonymous login or everyone group. We will go and check this one now. So he is describing, or he's saying what we need to know. We will go to the built-in, and then we will see if in the members group we can see if there is any members in the group of pre-Windows. So first we will I think we will disconnect, and then we will go further. Now we go to built-in and then pre-members. Here we can see we have gone to the built-in, and then we go to the pre-Windows 2000 compatible access. Here is authenticated users, so we don't have anonymous users, or we don't have everyone authenticated users. So this is not a finding. If you find this group, so this is not a finding, this is no security point. So we can pass this thing, okay, or this finding. There is no finding. Okay, you need to have anonymous login or everyone. Okay, so we don't have this. Okay, and then there is something called, or a group called group policy creators, owners, and incoming forest trust builders should be limited. the first group, this is a group in the Active Directory. The members of this group could create group policies, and this is also another group in the Active Directory. Members of this group could create trust between forests. So you need to be very careful to these two groups. You need to know who are the members and if they are really need this kind of rights. So he is saying must be limited and should be monitored. Okay, so we will go and check both of them. Actually, I don't have group policy creators. The only member of the group policy creators are the administrators group, so this is not a finding. Okay, we will go and check and see. So go the built-in and go to the incoming forest trust builders and see. Okay, only the group policy creators are the administrators group on the domain controller, so this is not a finding. Okay, and as for incoming forest trust builders, I don't have anyone member in this group. So we'll go and check. We can see that if we go to the incoming forest trust builders, I don't have here any member in this group. So you need to take care, because maybe you have done some trust between two forests, a certain user done the trust, and then you have ignored or have forgot this user in this group. So you need to check it and see if there is any members in it. So this user can make trust between domains or between forests, so this is a very critical thing. This could compromise the security of both trusted forests. Okay, so now we can go and see if we have our group policy creators. We go to the users containers and see the members of this group, and he is saying this you should know. If there is any members, you should know, and you should have a reason for putting a user in such a group. Okay, can modify group policies for the domain. Okay, so this is what this group can do. Here we can see that there are administrator, or the only member of this group is the administrator of the domain. Okay, administrator of the domain. Okay, so here this administrator, this, okay, it's allowed. Okay, and also the domain admins can change the group policy and do whatever, but there is no member except the administrator. So this is not a finding. We will continue. I think we can pass this real quickly actually. So now we don't have any members in these groups. If there is any members, it should be documented, and you should state a reason why you put this user or this user in this group. Okay, so we can pass this real quickly. So we have done this anyway. We need to go down. I have done this already, maybe. It's okay. We have done this. Okay. Okay, then there is something called object ownership delegation. User accounts with delegated authority must be removed from Windows built-in administrative groups, or remove delegated authority from the accounts. In AD, it is possible to delegate account and other Active Directory object ownership and administrative tasks. This can be done commonly for desktop, help desk, or support stuff. Then to avoid need to assign users to Windows groups with more ranking. This was delegate must be removed from Windows built-in administrative groups and remove the delegated authority from this account. So here is saying that you need to separate the user accounts for managing the Active Directory from the user accounts that will manage the workstations locally. So I think this is the one. If we can pass this real quickly. So if a user with delegated authority to a user account specific EU is also a member of administrators group, the user have the ability to reconfigure a wide range of domain security. So as I said before, you need to separate the Active Directory account from the local administrator account. I think this is what it's saying. So we will pass this real quickly also. Okay, then usage of administrative account must be monitored for suspicious and anonymous activity. So you need to go to the event viewer of the domain controller and check a couple of events ID to make sure that there is no suspicious accessing by accounts. For example, if you have domain admin accounts or enterprise admin accounts and they are used, or some user internally in your network have still stolen the password, or there is a hacker and you still don't know that there is someone hacked your domain, you need to check the event log to see if there is any suspicious activity. So the event log will reveal if there is any suspicious activity in your domain. How we can know this? We will check, or we will see, for example, the administrators, the domain admins and the enterprise admins. We will see what are their activity. We will check who has logged in with the domain admin account, when and where. Enterprise admin, when he logged in, when and where. If there is any suspicious thing, we need to check it. This could be a task to be done monthly, so we can check the event log monthly, and you should back up the event logs for the servers as a whole, including the domain controller, and revise them monthly. Okay, so we will see what we need to check. For example, there is a couple of things we need to check. We need to check event 4740. This is a user account logged out. So if there is a user trying to access by a domain admin account and he is trying to figure the password, at the end, after a couple of trials, the account will be locked, so this will be recorded. Okay, and if there is a domain admin try to creating a security or a security group in the Active Directory, this should be recorded at an event 4728. And if there is a domain admin try to create a local group, also this will be recorded at the event of 4732. So if you can see, there is a lot of events, and actually I have a couple of custom event log views we have done in the COVID-19 lab. So here you can see that you should revise all of these event IDs monthly and weekly. So let's say monthly, and check when this user account is logged. If your domain admin account, or there is an account that is logged regularly, you should check if this is done by a hacker or something, or a hacker is trying to figure out a password and he locked the account, or there is a group that was created and you don't know anything about it. Successful login, if the hacker logged in with an account or a user that is not in the property and he logged into a machine, so you need to make sure. Okay, all of these should be recorded. A fail login account or fail account to login, or should use this kind of events to check regularly and see. We have created custom view logs in our COVID-19 lab. This custom view log contains all of these events separately. So I will show you all when we import this custom event views. I will show you all that every custom view will contain some range of event IDs that you can check it easily and see. So for example, all of the 4000, for example, ID numbers are in one category, and the 5000, for example, will be in another category, so you can easily check and see the events. So let's see how we will do this. We will go and import. We have our custom view logs, so I have them already in my from the COVID-19 lab. So what I will do, we need to put these event logs, but on the server, by the way, by the domain controller, not on the POW. So I will show you all. First of all, we need to go and add the event log of the server. Okay, so first of all, what we need to do, we need to add the event log of our primary domain controller and additional domain controller, and then we will create some custom view logs or custom event view logs. Through it we can check the events that this PDF tells us to check. So here I will connect to the event log of the primary domain controller, and then here we can open this one. There is something called custom views. Here, for example, something called administrative events. These are events categorized and put in a separate tab, so you can check the administrative template event IDs in this tab. Okay, and you, for example, you create different tabs or different pages to contain certain event IDs. So for example, you have a lot of event IDs and you need to concentrate on a couple of them or a range of event IDs. You can create a window for them and you can check them from it. We have 7 custom views or 7 windows. Every one of them contains some events that we need to check. So I have done this earlier in the COVID-19 lab, and they are very important events you need to check. So let's see how we can import these events or custom view events. So let's open the POW. Here I have, if I open the this is my shared folders, I have something in the COVID-19 lab. So I have something called custom events. We have 9 custom events. I will show you all what these custom events will do. So these custom events will categorize or will reorder your event IDs and separate them in a certain way, so you can check easily check the user's activity or the group's activity. Let me show you what I mean by this. So we will click on custom import, and then we will import the event log. So this is one. Access to shared objects. This is one of the tabs or a group of IDs or event IDs that is concentrating on accessing shared folders in your domain. This is the events of accessing your shared folders. So let's continue, and then we will have the second event log view. Here it is account login and login events. Okay, so these events or these custom events or this custom category will contain all of the events concerning the login and logout of the accounts in the Active Directory. Only this only the events related to account login and logout. So this will help us to check what we need. Okay, and then we will import. I will leave also this custom event views in a link. Okay, this is something called account management events. This is the events focusing on creating Active Directory groups, okay, and changing the group members. So this also a couple of events concentrating on this. So all of these are very important events we need to check regularly, okay, or monthly. Here we have audit policy change. This events related to changing the audit group policies in your domain. Who have changed your audit group policies in your domain? And auditing PowerShell. Who had used PowerShell in your domain? So these are all important events. Auditing Windows services. Who had changed some Windows services in your domain? And it continues. Object access auditing. Who have accessed what on your domain folders, I mean, or shared folders in specific. And then we have process tracking. Okay, and at the end we will have the last one, which is the schedule task logging. So we will check, as the PDF says, we will check the account login and log off events. This is the one, and account management events. So these two categories contains accounts logged in and log off and groups that are created. So we will check them from these two groups. Here we can see that I will check these events in a specific. Okay, so for example, if we go to user account management, here it is not user account management, it's called account management events. This is the one. If we check, let's see the number. So here, for example, if we can check, let me have a moment here. So here, if we can go a little bit further, so okay, we can go further again. So here what we can do, if we can go further here, these are the account events. Here we can see, for example, that this is event 4799. So we need to check here. This contains the events that we need. I will show you all what this category contains. Okay, so if we right click and tell him to filter, and let's see what are the events that he is filtering. So for example, if we open, here is event 4738, and here we can check the event itself and see. So here, let's see, he is asking us to check a certain event. So let me go again and check. So here, these are the events. If we go here, we need to check event 4732, okay, 4732, or account login, which is 4628. So there is another thing, 4634 and 4628. So we can check the events from here. Both contains what this PDF is telling us. Okay, also we can check all of the events from these two categories. Okay, so now we can check everything from the account management group and from the account login and login or log off categories. Okay, show system must be monitored for attempts to local accounts to log in remotely, and you should take care if there is local accounts or there is a local administrator trying, for example, if there is a local administrator on a machine, he's trying to access it through a remote session. This also should be monitored, okay, and you should know. And this will be you can get this kind of event from the event log. So let's see. So for example, if I am a local administrator on a machine and I am accessing it with my local account remotely, this will be recorded in an event ID. Let me show you all what I mean by this event ID. So if you go further down, see, if you go and check the event ID number 4624, okay, and if it contains a login type of 3 and authentication package NTLM, and it doesn't contain a domain login or anonymous login account, this means if this is listed in 4624, this means that this user have logged in locally on a machine, okay, through a remote session. So these are how we can check this. So we can go and check and see this one. So if you know if there is a user that had logged in remotely using a local account on a machine, you can check 4624 event and check this information in this event, okay. You can pass this real quickly. So we can go there, and anyway, so we can go further, okay, and continue. And then there also another event: systems should be monitored for remote desktop logins. So you can log in to a machine using a local account, and you can log into a machine using a network account or a domain account using remote desktop logins. Also, this should also be monitored through the event log. How we can monitor it, let me show you all here what I mean by this. Also, we can check the event 4624 and check the login type. If it is 10, that means that is remote interactive, okay. So that means that this user had logged in remotely using a network account, not a local account, okay. So also you need to limit the remote desktop activities. This should be limited to certain users. We have done this in the lab. We have separated every zone. When we have our Active Directory divided to zones, we have restricted that every IT should be prevented from logging in remotely to the other workstation in the other tier. So we need to monitor also the remote desktop activity. So here we will do this. We can pass this real quickly actually, and then so we have done this. Then we need to, if you have you need to back up your Active Directory data. So this means you need to back up, there is an important folder called NTDS. This is a folder that contains all the Active Directory data. So this should be backed weekly or daily, depends upon the importance of your domain, and you need to have 2 domain controllers for redundancy. So you need to back up your Active Directory data using a backup solution, and this should be done weekly if it is low importance. High or moderate should be done daily. So you can back up your Active Directory data, which includes, so you can back up, for example, how you can back up your Active Directory data. You can back up your domain controller's system state. This will include the Active Directory data, or you can back up the NTDS folder also. This is one of the things. So you can back up your data on the domain controller. You can back up the system state. This will take the Active Directory data with it, or you can back up the NTDS folder. Okay, so this is one of the things. And then you should have 2 domain controllers. This is also should be done. Okay. Okay, and there is a trust. It should be also should be stated. And then you can use VPN. Also, this is not related to our lab anyway. So accounts from outside the outside directories, just wait for a moment, we need to accounts from outside, and outside directories are members of highly privileged accounts are being monitored. So if you have a trust between another forest, you need to, and this trusted forest are a member of one of your groups in your domain, you need to monitor it. Okay, so we can pass this also real quickly here. This is also, this is related to the replication. You need to have consistent replication between your domain controllers. Also this is, I think it's already done, replication, then visibility of transport VPN. This is not actually DR architecture. Here it says that you need to have 2 domain controllers, okay, to have redundancy, to have multiple domain controllers. Okay, so this is also one of the things to be done. Active Directory must be supported by domain controllers. We have done this, we have said this. Okay, and then I think this is the last one. So what we will do here, share event logs. So I think we have ended this, or this is ended. This is the benchmark. Okay, this, all of this we don't need. Okay, anyway, so here what does it say here? Have 2 domain controllers anyway. So, and this is the CIS kind of PDFs. Anyway, we have finished our video. In the upcoming video we will continue working with securing not our Active Directories, we're securing our Windows server or our domain controller. So we have configured or secured our Active Directory, we'll secure our domain controller, we'll secure more and more and more. Hope this video informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.